So we're about midway through the 2025 NFL Draft's rookie season, and we're starting to get a feel of what these players are at the next level. Some of these rookies have been exceeding expectations, some of them are maybe having a disappointing year number one so far, but they still have some time to turn it around. Basically, today we're going to be doing a mid-season check-in on these rookies and kind of just see where the vibe is at as we enter into the second half of the 2025 season. And no better place to start off with the number one overall pick, Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. He was pretty much the consensus number one overall pick leading up to the 25 NFL draft, and it is way too early to say that the Titans would do anything else. We'll eventually get to Jackson Dart, who's probably been a little bit more impressive than Cam Ward this season, but Cam Ward also inherited maybe the worst team that he could possibly imagine when he got drafted by the Titans. His head coach already got fired after week 6. There's just complete drama centered around the owner being way too reactionary to what this team has done over the last few years. His wide receiver one that is making over $20 million a year in Calvin Ridley has not been helping out Cam Ward whatsoever. It's pretty much been Alec Iomanner, Chimere DK that have shown up a little bit, Chiga Conquo, but yeah, this is not a great Tennessee Titans team whatsoever. Cam Ward has made some flashy plays. He's also made some really bad decisions over the last few weeks. He's had some really bad turnovers. He's got 6 interceptions on the year, but he also has 5 fumbles on the year to 5 touchdowns. He has been very turnover prone, as rookie quarterbacks usually are. But when you don't have a good receiving attack around you, you already lost your head coach that you thought you were going to be with in your rookie season. The offensive line has talented individuals, but they are not playing well together. And it feels like JC Latham hasn't really looked like the first round offensive lineman he was, or at least what the Titans were expecting when they selected him in the top 10 of the 2024 draft. Like, Tony Pollard is fine at this point. He's not a bell cow running back. Tyjae Spears was hurt to start off the year. He's looked a little bit better over the last few weeks. The Titans defense is also abysmal. They just traded away Roger McCreary to the LA Rams. They're apparently going to be a fire sale team at the deadline. So Cam Ward was not in a position to succeed. I don't know why too. When these NFL teams are so bad and they get the number one overall pick, they keep the head coach they had the year prior. I honestly think they should have just let go Brian Callahan, started fresh with Cam Ward and a new head coach, because I feel like it was inevitable that Brian Callahan was going to get fired. Kind of similar to what happened with Matt Eberflus last year in the Chicago Bears, and it kind of tanked Caleb Williams' rookie season. You can't really say the same thing about Urban Meyer. That was just a disaster from the start. And then Trevor Lawrence basically had a new head coach in Doug Peterson. That helped them turn it around a little bit. But yeah, Cam Ward, you could say, has been disappointing, but I think when you look at the bigger picture here, he hasn't really had a lot to work with. Next up, we had the most polarizing player in the 2025 NFL draft, Travis Hunter, who went number 2, where the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up a few spots, gave up their first round pick in 2026 to get Travis Hunter, who was supposed to be the unicorn, right? He could play corner, he could play receiver at a very high level. So far through 7 games this year, 28 catches, 298 yards, and 1 touchdown on the season. He was pretty much non-existent in every game leading up to the Rams game in London, where he ended up going for 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Some of that was garbage time, but it was nice to see him at least get targets. His first game as a rookie, getting over 10 targets. He had 14 in that one. And when he's been out there defensively, he's also looked like a good corner as well. But he is such a skilled offensive talent. I would like to see him more involved in the passing attack throughout the second half of the season for Trevor Lawrence. They're not going to trade Brian Thomas, but it's been a weird dynamic with Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas, and the Jaguars coaching staff this season. So maybe Travis Hunter will eventually be the wide receiver 1 on this team going forward. He's still just 22 years old. There's a reason why they wanted to trade away their future first round pick to go up and get Hunter. It's because of what he can provide you on both sides of the ball. We'll see if he gets more involved. I feel like he's been kind of used in a confusing way this year, and I hope we find out his identity in the second half of the year. I think Abdul Carter, who went 3rd overall, has looked the part this year. There were talks that Abdul Carter could go a lot higher than this. He was definitely the best edge rusher and the best pure defender in this class, ahead of Travis Hunter and Mason Graham. In my opinion, the reason why Travis Hunter went ahead of Abdul Carter is because what he could do on the offensive side of the ball. Abdul Carter cannot play offense, but he's been a great pass rusher this year. The Giants have a solid front 7. They have a really good front 7, actually, I should say, with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, who could get traded this year at the deadline. We'll see. But Carter has been a good pass rusher. He struggled a little bit in the running game this year, but I think he's just going to continue to get better and better. They've used him a little bit in coverage this year as well. He only has half a sack on the season, so he's still looking for his breakout game, and I wonder when that's going to come. Hopefully we do get it this year. I mean, the Giants and their fans need something to look forward to because Carter has lived up to expectations. We'll get to Jackson Dart later in this video, but after what happened to Cam Scatterbo over last weekend, hopefully the Giants can have something to look forward to. And yeah, maybe we get like a 2 to 3 sack performance from Abdul Carter. I also think Will Campbell has looked the part in his rookie season. I think just people overthought what Will Campbell was going to be at the NFL level. He had elite production at LSU against some really good defenses in the SEC, but people were worried about his arm length and then that he would eventually have to go inside and play a guard position. And would you want to take a guard at number 4? I think we just overthought that. He has been a really good offensive lineman this year, both in pass protection and as a run blocker. And he's a big reason why you are comfortable with Drake May at your quarterback position. Yeah, Drake May still could have been the same quarterback this year without Will Campbell, but you're not going to go through those progressions unless you get somebody that can help out his time to throw, help out his blind side, and give somebody that is going to be a cornerstone offensive lineman for you. I loved what the Chargers did last year when they got Joe Alt for Justin Herbert, and now we have the Patriots getting Will Campbell for Drake May. They're hoping to never pick that high again in the NFL draft. They're probably not going to pick that high this year as well, given how good the Patriots have been. So you may not have a chance to take somebody like Will Campbell and get the best offensive lineman in this class. He held his own against TJ Watt and Max Crosby this season, and I think the Patriots made the right selection. So the Cleveland Browns traded down. They weren't going to get Cam Ward in this draft since he went number 1, and they selected Mason Graham with also the caveat that they were getting the Jacksonville Jaguars 2026 first round pick. Graham got off to a good start this year, but has struggled a little bit over the last few weeks, where this Browns defense has kind of been teetering a little bit. They still have their elite playmakers like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. Carson Schwarzenegger recently got banged up, but he's been a very productive rookie this season. I think you're still fine with Mason Graham, and you hope that he can still be an elite pass rusher, an elite run stopper going forward. He doesn't have some of the best pass block win rates this season when you're talking about defensive linemen. He's still a rookie. He's still 22 years old. If you're looking at like every pick here in the top 5, I'm probably least confident in Mason Graham long term. Like, I'm still in on Cam Ward. Like I said before, I think he's just in a terrible position. I don't know if life for Mason Graham is going to get easier going forward, right? They have Myles Garrett. I don't know if they would ever trade Myles Garrett. You have Shelby Harris, who may not be on this team after this year. What about Malik Collins, who was drafted back in 2016? He's probably not going to be on the Browns much longer as well. So will this get any easier for Mason Graham? We'll see. And I don't even know if the front office that drafted him is going to be making decisions next year. It may be a new regime. Probably the most disappointing top 10 pick, Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I don't think all of this is on Ashton Jeanty. You could say he's been a disappointing running back, a disappointing fantasy running back. So far this year, he's got about 445 yards, 3 touchdowns, 111 carries in 7 games. He had a monster performance this year against the Chicago Bears, a solid performance against the Tennessee Titans, but there really haven't been that many great games for a running back that set college records last year, that went 6th overall out of Boise State. And I think a lot of that has to come down on just the Raiders offensive unit, and more so with their offensive line having one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, not having consistent schemes, and just quarterback play not being great. Just overall in general, Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll have not gotten the most out of this offense, and it's really affected Ashton Jeanty. Ulta Miller got injured. Jackson Powers Johnson has played a new position. He's going to continue to get a heavy workload throughout the year. We'll see if he can kind of turn things around and figure out the NFL game speed in the second half and really have to overcome poor O-line play. I've been really impressed this year by Armand Membu, the offensive tackle the Jets took at number 7 out of Missouri. And it's weird too for the Jets because I feel like they have a lot of talented players on their offensive line, but they also kind of struggle as a collective unit. They ran the ball extremely well against the Bengals last Sunday with Breece Hall, Isaiah Davis, Justin Fields, all making easy work of the Bengals front 7 because of the Jets offensive line. And the Jets have honestly drafted pretty well over the last few years, in my opinion. They whipped on the Zach Wilson pick, but I thought they've done a fine job with Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Olu Fashanu, Armand Membu, and even Will McDonald, even though he's been a little bit inconsistent over the last year and a half. But I've been incredibly impressed by Armand Membu this year, and I think the Jets made the right pick. You were never going to take Jackson Dart here at number 7. Maybe this team needs another offensive weapon. We were talking about Ted McMillan or potentially Tyler Warren at the time. You could say that in hindsight, but just take the really good offensive tackle and figure the rest out going forward. Ted McMillan has been a very good receiver this year for the Carolina Panthers, a team that's had an inconsistent offensive attack so far this year, but Ted has been really good in my opinion. He's got 63 targets, 37 catches for 512 yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. It took him a little bit of time to get his first touchdown. It ended up happening in week number 6 against the Dallas Cowboys, where he actually had 2 in that game. He's making incredibly impressive catches. He's getting off the line of scrimmage. He's a great deep ball threat, and he's catching most of his targets this year. He's still building up that connection with Bryce Young. He got his targets from Andy Dalton last week in their blowout loss to the Buffalo Bills, but I think the Carolina Panthers are very happy with who they took here because Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, these guys were never going to be true wide receiver ones in this league. And yes, the Panthers needed to add to the defensive unit, but I'm glad they took Ted McMillan, giving Bryce Young a true wide receiver one option. Bryce Young currently hurt right now, but has looked the part over the last few weeks, and hopefully these two could just build up their connection even more as they're trying to make the playoffs this year. They're just 4-4. They could definitely play in the postseason, but yeah, they need to have a strong second half. I also think Kelvin Banks has looked the part this year for the New Orleans Saints. There were talks that he could be a tackle, could be a guard at the NFL level. He's played mostly tackle this year. He's been a little bit better in the pass blocking game than the run blocking game, but I really like what the Saints have with Talise Fuaga and Kelvin Banks going forward. I could not tell you for the life of me who the Saints quarterback is going to be on week 1 in 2026. Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? Is it going to be Tyler Shuck? Right now when I'm recording this video, they have the #1 overall pick. So could it be Fernando Mendoza? I have no clue. Whoever it's going to be next year, though, is going to have good young offensive linemen to help protect them. I mean, I really can't say a lot about Coastal Loveland right now. There's been a lot of mouths to feed in Chicago with the 3 receivers, Burden, Moore, and Roma Dunze. There's also another tight end on that roster that's getting a ton of targets in Cole Kmet. So far this year, though, Coastal Loveland, 11 catches, 116 yards in 6 games, has not found the end zone yet, has not gone over 40 yards yet. He's been more involved over the last few weeks, and I do feel like we could have a breakout Colston Loveland game soon. It may just hurt a little bit for Bears fans seeing what Tyler Warren is doing in Indy, though. I didn't love the Michael Williams pick at the time for the San Francisco 49ers, and he's definitely had an up and down year. Now, we don't know how this season would have gone for Michael Williams if Nick Bosa didn't tear his ACL, Bryce Huff doesn't get hurt, and they were just relatively healthy on the defensive side of the ball, but the Niners have been extremely banged up. They're asking a ton out of Michael Williams this season. He's barely generating any QB pressures right now, and he could definitely get better over the course of the season because he's still just 21 years old. But yeah, you'd probably like to see him be a little bit better for the Niners right now. Howard Booker has missed some time this year for the Dallas Cowboys. I think they made the right selection. Now, on the night of the 2025 draft, they didn't know they were trading away Micah Parsons. Nobody really did until leading up to the NFL season. So yeah, they weren't going to take an edge rusher here. So I like them investing in the offensive line, something they've done over the last few years with Guyton, Smith, Booker. Some have worked out more than others, but Booker has looked the part this year. He checked off every single box in their pre-draft evaluation. A guy that just wants to do the dirty work for you and help you win in any way, shape, or form. And it's helped this year for the Cowboys. They've had a great passing attack. They've had a really good rushing attack. A lot of people thought they were going to have one of the worst rushing units in the NFL this year. It's been the opposite. He could be a little bit better in the pass blocking department, but man, this guy is a top tier run blocker already. Now, the 13th overall pick was another interior defensive lineman, Kenneth Grant out of Michigan to the Miami Dolphins. Grant has been probably one of the worst rookies overall this year, or at least in the first round. I wasn't the biggest fan of Grant coming out of Michigan. I liked Harmon a lot more. I liked Walter Nolan a lot more. And I obviously like Mason Graham a little bit more, his teammate at Michigan. And I also don't want to put too much stock into Grant's first 8 games into his rookie campaign. This whole Miami Dolphins team has been a mess this year, more so on the defensive side of the field. Phillips has struggled, Bradley Chubb has struggled, Chop Robinson has struggled as well. So Kenneth Grant may be fine going forward. I don't know if he's going to have a different head coach next year. Yes, he's been disappointing to start off his rookie campaign, but hey, you can only go up from here. And yeah, Tyler Warren has been one of the best overall rookies this year. There's a really good chance he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, I don't know if that's going to go to Emeka Buka, who we'll get to, Jackson Dart, who we'll get to, but Tyler Warren is up there in that conversation right now. Definitely going to finish top 3 in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. 37 catches, 50 targets, 492 yards out of this season so far, which puts him behind Emeka Buka and Tim McMillan for 3rd in receiving yards this year. Shout out to Aranda Gatson, who's already 4th in receiving yards from this draft class. And this Colts season has been a revelation. You got Jonathan Taylor competing for Offensive Player of the Year. Daniel Jones has looked like an MVP candidate. The Colts could get the 1 seed for all we know at the end of the year. So I'm really excited right now watching Tyler Warren and the Indianapolis Colts. Jalen Walker has missed a little bit of time this year for the Atlanta Falcons. He's had his good moments. He's had his bad moments, but I think Atlanta's got to be thrilled about this pick right now. Their pass rush has definitely looked better, a lot better than the 2024 season, and he's going to headline this unit going forward. Still just 21 years old. Can't really talk about Walter Nolan of the Arizona Cardinals, number 16th overall pick, as he's been hurt this year, similar to Darius Washington last year when he was hurt for the Cardinals. So they're having some bad luck with first round picks, and maybe that's catching up and biting them right now. Shamar Stewart went 17 to the Cincinnati Bengals. He's also been banged up this year, but the Cincinnati Bengals defense has had its issues, so I can't put too much disappointment lineman into Shamar Stewart. I really like Gray Zabel this year. For the Seattle Seahawks, they desperately needed an offensive lineman. Maybe at the time we thought this was a little bit of a reach, but this is definitely looking like a great pick. Just having somebody that can help Sam Darnold out, get the passing attack going, which has been one of the best units in the NFL this year. Emeka Buka, who went 19th overall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has been one of the best picks in the first round. When it happened at the time, we were like, why did the Bucs do that? They didn't really need a receiver. You have Godwin, who you re-signed, Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan. But no, Emeka Buka looks like a very smart pick right now. Maybe they were a little bit worried about the Godwin injury. He missed a decent chunk of the season so far. Mike Evans is out for the year, and Emeka Buka has been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL through 8 games, 34 catches, 562 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He's been the #1 overall receiver with Baker Mayfield this season, and Baker's got now a very good 23-year-old receiver for the next decade. And yeah, when in doubt, draft an Ohio State receiver in the first round. Another team that didn't really need to make a selection in this positional group, the Denver Broncos at number 20, where they selected Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Barron was the first cornerback off the board in this class. And yeah, you have Riley Moss, you have Patrick Surtain, who recently got banged up, so maybe we are going to see more Jahdae Barron going forward. Maybe they were originally going to take Emeka Buka at this pick, who knows. Derek Harmon has looked solid for the Pittsburgh Steelers when he's been out there. He suffered a serious knee injury in preseason. I thought he was going to be out for the year, but luckily he did come back. Kind of like Kenneth Grant before, though, the Steelers defense as a whole has been maybe the biggest mess this year, given it's the highest paid defense in the NFL, and they are just giving up 30 points after 30 points left and right this year to Jordan Love, Joe Flacco, Justin Fields. It's been embarrassing overall, and I think Derek Harmon is going to be a good player in this league, but it's tough for him to stand out right now because nobody's really standing out on the defensive unit for Pittsburgh. Matthew Golden's kind of had an up and down rookie year so far. I would have liked for him to be featured a little bit more in this offense this season, especially with the injury to Jaden Reed at the start of the year. Christian Watson recently came back. I thought Golden was going to be the wide receiver 1, but no, it's been Romeo Doubs or it's been Tucker Kraft kind of as the main receiving target. He's got 21 catches, 253 yards. They've kind of used him as a gadget guy. He was barely involved in the Pittsburgh Steelers game script. I'm still kind of waiting for that breakout game for Matthew Golden since he was the first Packers receiver drafted in the first round in like 2 decades. Armarian Hampton got off to a slower start for the LA Chargers. We thought his workload was going to be crazy high after Najee Harris tore his ACL, and he looked so good against the New York Giants. He had 12 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown, and then unfortunately suffered a serious injury against the Washington Commanders. The week right after that, he's still going to come back this year most likely, and hopefully we could see him really break out towards the end of the year because he was really looking the part after a slower start to his rookie campaign. Donovan Jackson went 24 to the Minnesota Vikings. He's been a fine offensive lineman for them this season, but was always kind of going to be a rotational guy when they selected him there at 24. But then the Giants traded up at 25 to select Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. They benched Russell Wilson after 3 weeks, and Jackson Dart has actually looked the part. I was not super high on Jackson Dart in his rookie season. I didn't think this was going to be a great environment for him to succeed in, and who knows, maybe he's going to have a different head coach next year, even though it does feel like him and Brian Daboll have a romance, or Brian Daboll just loves Jackson Dart because I guess he thinks Jackson Dart can save his job, and maybe he will. And Dart has really looked the part, man, with his legs and with his arm. He wasn't going to have good O-line play. His star wide receiver tears his ACL in his debut game against the Chargers, and he loses his breakout rookie running back, Cam Scatabo, last week against the Eagles for the season as well. So he's down his wide receiver 1, his RB 1. He already didn't have good weapons to begin with, and the offensive line play isn't great. I think for what Jackson Dart has been given and the pressure he has in the New York market, he has exceeded expectations so far. And yeah, maybe the Giants did find their franchise quarterback. So it's kind of been a mixed bag on the end of the first round picks. James Pierce to the Atlanta Falcons, maybe the best guy in this group, where the Falcons did trade away a future first round pick next year to the LA Rams for this pick. I thought this was incredibly risky because I wasn't super high on the Falcons this year. They're not going to give up a top 5 pick, but it could be a top 15 pick at the end of the year. We'll see what ends up happening. They just got blown out last week by the Miami Dolphins, who are maybe the biggest dumpster fire entering into last Sunday. I think Malachi Starks, Tyleik Williams, Josh Connerly have had their good moments and bad moments this year. And Maxwell Harrison, who went 30, barely has played for the Buffalo Bills, but who went 30, 1 to the Eagles and Jahad Campbell, and 32 Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. Both of these guys have stood out this year. Jahad Campbell is an absolute stud. I can't believe he fell to Howie Roseman at number 31. We can't keep doing this. And there have been plenty of guys in the second round that have exceeded expectations this year. You have Carson Schweschinger, who went 33 to the Browns. Definitely one of their better draft picks. Nick Immanwori has been a stud safety when he's been out there for the Seattle Seahawks, who went 35. Quinshon Judkins got a lot of flack, or at least the Browns front office did, taking him ahead of TreVeyon Henderson. That looks like the smart decision. When he was active in week number 2, he's looked like one of the best running backs in the league, not just in this rookie class, in the NFL. Will Johnson has been really good for the Arizona Cardinals. His medicals dropped him in the draft. At one point, we thought he was going to go in the top 10. Xavier Watts has been a beast for the Atlanta Falcons. He was selected 96th overall. That was a home run selection by Atlanta. Unfortunately, Cam Scatterbo, we know, is out for the year, but he was a revelation for the New York Giants as well when he became the de facto starting running back over Tyrone Tracy. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has also been really good for somebody that was selected in the 7th round, 245th overall, has been kind of a cult hero for some fantasy football players. I mentioned it before, but Arondé Gadsden, who was selected 165th overall by the LA Chargers, has been 100% the best tight end outside of Tyler Warren in this class so far. And when you're talking about the quarterbacks like Quinn Ewers, Tyler Shuck really haven't played a ton this season. Dylan Gabriel has struggled. I mean, he's not in the best environment and doesn't really have the best team around him. We'll see if he gets any better, or it might be Shador time. Also want to give a shout out to Jonas Anker, the safety for the New Orleans Saints, and the offensive lineman Tate Ratledge of the Detroit Lions. These guys were selected later in the draft, and they performed and exceeded expectations so far, in my opinion. And that's gonna be for me. Hope you guys enjoyed kind of this check-in on the 2025 draft. Let me know what you think about your favorite team's draft class so far, who's exceeding expectations, who's falling short of those right now, and what do you feel about your rookie class going forward. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. Subscribe for more content like this. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.